from each happily ever after, every wish upon a star. Let's break down the movies that shaped who we are, from memory lane to now and everything in between. The most famous of films to the ones we've never seen. Decade by decade, all the times we laughed and cried, and with a little pixie dust, they will all take flight, reliving the feelings, and we're trying our very best. And if they mean the same to you, please be our guest. So hop aboard, we would love to have you as we hang with a certain mouth, the whole gang too. If you love nostalgia stuff, we hope this does the trick. Thanks for joining us as we deep dive the magic.
Hi, and welcome back to the Deep Diving the Magic podcast. I'm KJ.
And I'm Jeffrey. And we are back today with the 87th Disney feature-length film from November 30th of 1967. It is a film called The Happiest Millionaire. The Happiest Millionaire is based upon the true story of Philadelphia millionaire Anthony Drexel Biddle. And it is based on the book written by his daughter, entitled My Philadelphia Father by Cordelia Drexel Biddle. And I had no idea that that's actually the characters in this movie.
Did you just put that together
Yeah,
now?
literally. When I wrote these notes down, and I was just like, wait a second, those names are familiar from the movie. So like what's like the CSI thing, like the names have been changed to protect the innocent. No, that's not in this film. They didn't change any names. Like those are the names of our characters.
Okay. That's very interesting that you had no idea the entire time we were watching it.
No, because it took me until the end of this movie to realize who the Happiest Millionaire was. Because I thought the Happiest Millionaire was the kid the entire time, like the butler. Sorry to go to tangent. We'll get there. I thought for sure, because the whole film starts about how this dude comes to America and he's going to get rich. Okay. So I thought the Happiest Millionaire was going to be the butler.
Okay.
Am I wrong? Whatever. So whatever. It's based on a true life story about the Biddles. This is also the return of Fred MacMurray. Fred MacMurray, who's been in a lot of films lately. He's definitely approaching Tommy Kirk status lately. He's our new Tommy Kirk. Yep. But would you like to start us off with a synopsis about this true life film?
Clever yet hapless new butler, John Lawless, manages a Philadelphia household for quirky and joyful millionaire Anthony Drexel Biddle, his unflappable wife Cordelia, and their Spitfire daughter Cordy.
Yeah. So see, the first thing that says in this is the butler. I thought this movie was going to be about the butler. Whatever. It's about the Biddles. But whatever. This is the final film that Walt oversaw before his passing. So this is actually the final thing to have the Walt's touch on it. Mm-hmm. And what a movie to go out on. Mm-hmm. This 3-hour epic. Mm-hmm. So pack your popcorn, have a seat, because we are diving into 3 hours of musical.
We had to watch this in 2 sittings.
And I love musicals. But any opening thoughts or any facts before we dive right in?
Sure.
Go ahead.
So Richard M. Sherman had reservations about whether Fred MacMurray was the right for the part of Anthony J. Drexel Biddle, but Walt Disney overruled him. So Fred MacMurray almost
does a good job, though.
Didn't have this role, but he did. And then when you watch the film, the phone booth from the film is now at Disneyland's Park Club 33.
Wow.
And is fully functional. So guests can make calls free of charge. The club also boasts a grandmother clock from the film, atop which the beloved Alfred animatronic sits.
Would you like to talk about what Club 33 is?
I just know it's an exclusive club that we're never going to be able to get invited to, nor are we ever going to be able to afford to be in it. But if you're in it, I know where all your entrances are at Walt Disney World.
If you would like to help us afford this, we would love for you to subscribe, pass us a like. No, it's okay. Ready to dive right in?
No, I'm still going.
Go for it.
So like you said, this was the last live action film that Walt Disney worked on. At the time of his death, the crew had completed principal photography, but post-production had not begun. It was with this film that the studio's trend of subjecting its live action musicals to wholesale cuts began. Radio City Music Hall, the site of the film's New York premiere, had a Disney-themed Christmas stage show and demanded cuts to accommodate it.
I'm like, it's already 3 hours long.
Yeah.
Imagine what it was before the cuts.
No idea. And during the opening song, there's a bit of business showing a man and a woman each walking their respective dogs and getting tangled up in the leashes. And this is an inside joke reference to an identical moment in the earlier Disney film 101 Dalmatians.
It's a great film. It's almost like it's the first film on my list upon a star.
Yes. And when we were watching this, I just want to say that I got extremely confused. Was having a hard time following it. And then, like, in the trivia things, like, every once in a while, I would find, like, something about Duke University. And I love Duke University. Like, that's my dream school. And I was like, what are they talking about? So.
Well, the Duke is the people in the film.
Angier Biddle Duke's family connection to Duke University. His paternal grandfather, Benjamin Newton Duke, was the major benefactor of the university. His great-uncle James Buchanan Duke also heavily endowed the university, and this family history led to the renaming of Trinity College in Durham to Duke University. And apparently that was also his alma mater. And there's real-life connections to it here, and that's the only thing nice I have to say about this movie. Okay. Yeah.
Spoiler. You got 3 hours to sit through.
Well, like I said, it took us 2 sittings.
All right, well, whatever. We're going to dive right in. So, starts off with like a regal painting and some music during the long opening credits. It's like so this film is like shot like you're watching a play.
The long opening credits.
So, it's like shot like you're watching a play. We learn that it is in Philadelphia in 1916. And we see a fancy dressed young man who's very excited to be there.
Who actually ends up being my favorite character out of the whole entire film.
John Lawless with his awful teeth. He's
from Ireland.
So he's very excited to be there. He breaks into a song about shenanigans and the neighborhood.
Which is a recurring theme.
Yeah, it's a musical.
I know, but that song is a recurring theme throughout the whole entire musical.
Yep, he is moving from immigrant to high society, and it is done through fortuosity. So you all know me, I love musicals, so we'll see how long I love this musical for.
Let us know when your thoughts on it changed.
Now. No, I'm just kidding. After this song. No, whatever. We'll get there. He's dancing up and down the sidewalk. He's singing about fortuosity.
I did think it kind of gave some Mary Poppins vibes.
It wishes.
Like the beginning when it was opening, like how they're going down the street and stuff. Okay. Anyway.
Fortuosity. So the cops point the singing kid in the right direction to a beautiful looking house. He is there to be interviewed for the butler job of Anthony J. Driscoll Biddle, like we discussed earlier. We learn that the last butler left in the middle of the night. And then Fred McMurray, who is playing Anthony J. Drexel Biddle, comes in as the title character. He has been bit by an alligator. Would you talk about him being bit by an alligator, or do you want me to just keep going?
So he's bit by an alligator, and this family is like super quirky, and it is based off true pets that they had. They actually had, what do they call it? Cordyceum or something. What did they call it?
A room full of alligators?
Yeah, what did they call that room though?
I don't know. A room full of
Consortium?
Alligators. Yeah, probably.
Or something?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, they had a room that had like 4 tubs in it, and they had pet alligators.
It's true. And they had like names for him and stuff.
Yeah, and it becomes, I think it was his name George. George was the one who bit him. And they're referenced multiple times throughout this musical.
So our main character, again, who is Anthony J. Drexel Biddle, Mr. Biddle. He bursts into a song about it. And what's wrong with that? He keeps singing about what's wrong with that.
Well, what's wrong with that is if George would have actually bit him, because George was not the little alligator, it was the big one.
Yeah.
He would have probably lost a hand.
What's wrong with that?
Well, nothing.
So we busted into a whole song about that.
We could have been done with the movie had George bit a little in the right place, but he didn't.
He biddle a biddle? Is that what you just said?
No, if he
What's wrong with that?
If he bit in the right place, if he biddled the biddle.
We meet his daughter Cordy. And then we also learn that Charles Taylor arrives for Cordy, another fancy dress fella. And then two other boys arrive with the first aid kit. They're Cordy's brother and sister. I'm sorry, two brothers, Mr. Biddle's kids, Tony and Livingston.
Which they're never really referenced hardly at all.
They're not in the movie. I mean, they go away to school after this.
And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
So Tony and Livingston. What's the eyes
but
of the daughter?
my other thing is, so during this, you see like some behind the scenes stuff. And I literally wrote in my notes.
What's wrong with that?
The family seems to have an underground fight club disguised as a Bible study.
Yeah, we'll get there for sure.
Is that how you took it? Like,
no.
What is that?
No.
Because it said Biddle Bible Study on their shirts.
Yeah.
But they were learning how to box.
Yeah, it was like a Bible study boxing school. What's wrong with that? Watch the film. Let us know.
I was just like, they have like an undercover like fight club.
They do.
Like this is the original fight club.
But they.
Anyway, so when I start a fight club, I'm going to describe it as a Bible study.
Yep.
If you'd like to come.
All right, so we'll get there on that one. But
punching in righteousness.
The boys sing a song about all the boys that have tried to take Cordy out on a date. There's a Dapper Dans reference, which to talk about what the Dapper Dans are. My favorite.
So the Dapper Dans is this little quartet of men
a cappella
that go around on Main Street, and they're dressed very dapper, and they sing.
What's wrong with that? They knock out this Charles character while singing. Cordy then blames her father.
But through this, we also learned that Cordy was a prized fighter herself.
Yeah, she's a tomboy for sure.
Because they were talking about how she could easily knock this guy out herself. I'm kind of sad we never got to see it. Anyway.
Nope. So then Cordy, she's upset that they knocked out her date and that they're showing her what her true colors are. So she breaks into a song about knowing herself. She's lost in the middle of the in between, and then John Lawless, the butler kid, the kid I thought was the millionaire, is very confused about this family, and he attempts to leave. But he runs into another fancy old lady who is the aunt. Would you like to talk about this aunt lady?
I literally have in my notes, Aunt Mary. Lol.
Yeah. She's a very, like, snooty.
Prim, proper.
Yeah.
I'm too good for you.
Comes from money and wants you to know that. So then we see that it cuts into this boxing class. So like again, the family's all working out and they're singing songs about the Lord at Biddle Bible's class. Biddle Bible's class. What's wrong with that? Mrs. Biddle also arrives, and just this John Lawless kid is just very confused about this family and what did I sign up for and fortuosity and all this fun stuff.
But the maid that he met that was in the kitchen cooking, I think was from England, because they talked about coming overseas and stuff. So I think he kind of felt most welcomed by her in the beginning and then met the family.
What's wrong with that? So the aunt's like, hey, I read in the paper that Cordy won a contest in Atlantic City. And she's like, that's not right for ladies to go to Atlantic City and have boxing matches. That took a grasp on that. This is where we learn that the alligator who bit Mr. Biddle's name is George, like you said. And then Cordy comes down the stairs to hear her parents and her aunt talking about how about how men wouldn't marry a prize fighter. So basically, like the aunt's like, hey, like she's missing her chance by being a prize fighter. Men aren't going to like that. So she overhears that. Cordy tells her parents that she would like to go off to school, like the brothers did. And they're like, no, you're a Biddle. You're going to stay here. Biddle, Bible, boxing, whatever.
Underground Fight Club.
Yeah. They do have to let Cordy go because she's not a child anymore. And then just through all of this, they're just like having John Lawless become the new butler without him even knowing he's the butler. He's all confused. But there's our premise. Homegirl wants to go to school. She doesn't want to be a tomboy anymore. The family's kooky, and they do a lot of boxing and Bible studying. But, what's wrong with that?
Underground Fight Club.
Yeah. Mr. Biddle goes to the gym to talk about working out. Or he goes to talk to like Cordy, who's working out. John is then shocked that he learns that there's 12 alligators. He sees them. But
they're not all as big as George.
No. Mr. Biddle again sings "What's Wrong with That." Mr. Biddle finally gets a chance to like talk to John. He's asking about boxing. He's talking about the good book and the Bible and all this stuff. John then says that he's a fisticuffs champion in his small county. I'm sorry. They talk about being American, and they sing a song about being yourself, as opposed to being part of them and them part of me, basically. So like John's like, hey, I'm proud of where I come from, even though Mr. Biddle loves America. So John's like, I'm going to be Irish and American. So there you go. They sing songs. There's a Casey at the Bat reference from a movie we watched a long time ago. The Sherman Brothers definitely flex their muscles with all these songs in this film. The employment agency calls about Mr. Lawless, and Mrs. Biddle says that he will suit their needs. So
he is wrangling a alligator.
That's right. They're all dancing, but then we cut to Cordy, who has received her wish, and she's at an all-girls boarding school talking to her roommate. Anything about that?
No. Sang another song, and I thought, Lord, how much longer can this go on?
Yep. So Cordy gets invited to a very famous party by her rich aunt or whatever.
Mary.
She asks her roommate, Rosemary, to teach her how to flirt. They sing a song about flirting, and you flirt to the rhythm of ba-yum bum bum, ba-yum bum bum. That's how you flirt. Did you know that? Is that how you won me over? You flirted with ba-yum bum bum?
No, that is not the method I used. Not at all.
It cuts to the fancy party, and a couple people are dancing. Ba-yum bum bum. A fancy guy sees Cordy trying to perfect her dance. The aunt introduces her to two dapper men from New Haven, but they don't want anything to do with her.
That attended Yale.
They don't want anything to do with her. They're
more interested in her roommate that's dancing.
Watching, yep. But then somebody else like notices that like they're floundering, so he like steps in to like save her. He like steps in to be like, go ahead.
So he talked about the guy she was talking to was talking about dancing, and then she was like, oh, well, you should go ask my roommate to dance because she would really like to dance with you. And he was like, well, I couldn't leave you. And then she was like, oh no, I'm waiting on someone, they're coming. Which really she wasn't waiting on anybody. And he was like, no, I can wait on you. And then Angier that we meet,
I refer to him as Mr. Duke because I thought this entire thing, but go ahead.
Yes. So he comes in and he says, oh, I'm here for that dance that I was supposed to do with you. And that's how he cuts in and basically meets the love of his life.
Well, we're not there yet. We got 3 hours to go. They begin to dance together. They know all the dance moves perfectly.
3 hours.
He says that she's not like all the other girls.
She's probably like, no, because I could knock you out.
It's true. Ba-yum bum bum. So they talk about how the waltz is for old people, but then they do the waltz anyway. Then they have a moment. They have a moment of singing and dancing with no one around under the moonlight. They just like make it outside somehow, and they're like Cinderella-ing around the moonlight over there.
Cinderella.
By yum bum bum.
Oh, God.
But then this is where he tells her that he's in love with the automobile. He's in love with the automobile like he is Mr. Toad. Speaking of Mr. Toad, have you seen this mug that I've used? So he's in love with the automobile. He's been up to 75 miles an hour in this automobile. But either way, after all this talking, they do kiss. So the bayum pum pum worked. The next scene, we see that the paper, we see in the newspaper, it cuts to like the newspaper, that Mr. Biddle, our friend from the beginning, our quirky boxing Bible American loving guy, he's returning to Washington. He makes a speech about the Marines, basically like he's just trying to help the Marines. Like he's trying to say that like my men from Philadelphia can help you all.
And he's very patriotic.
Oh yeah, homeboy.
And we have to show you like hand-to-hand combat.
So he offers to train the men in Philadelphia. He sings a song about loving his country and what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? And then John Lawless, the kid who again I thought was going to be the millionaire, is he's taken good to his role as the new butler. I can't stress you. In the beginning, he like sings this whole song about virtuosity, about how he's going to become rich. So I figured this whole entire film was about homeboy becoming rich, and I was wrong.
No, he's not the happiest millionaire.
Nope. But he's pretty happy in this film. But the Marine guy, he ends up calling Mr. Biddle old. So Mr. Biddle's like, I'm not old. I'm going to teach you how to box a few rounds. Well, let's go box. And they box in their tuxes. Mr. Biddle ends up knocking the lieutenant down and out. Anything about this scene before I just keep going?
No, you can keep going.
All right, so he knocks the lieutenant guy out. And then the Marines end up saying that, yes, Mr. Biddle can train their men as long as he doesn't tell anybody else that like a Marine got knocked out by this dude.
Heaven forbid.
So then cuts to Cordy and her date, which is Angie, the Duke guy. They're on an ice cream date, but he just keeps talking about cars. That's all he cares about is cars. He mentions that his family, like she goes, can we talk about anything else? So then he talks about how his family is from the tobacco business, but he would rather go to the automobile business, and he sings a song about in Detroit. And I read in facts that actually I thought maybe you were going to talk about in the Detroit song. There's a line about FOB Detroit or whatever, because I guess it's like some like big business or something like that in Detroit, or like some piece of Detroit is like FOB Detroit. And Walt thought that the Sherman Brothers were saying SOB Detroit, and he did not think that was appropriate for his song. They had to like prove that it was FOB Detroit.
No, I didn't see anything in there.
So FOB Detroit or whatever. So whatever, they go on this like drive, and it's like this really old-fashioned convertible. She's talking about how she wishes the car had heat and wishes the car had music, so she's just like predicting the future. And
wanted it in any color she desired.
Yep. The car ends up breaking down right next to the water. It's under a rainbow. They kiss, and then a Disney storm comes, and of course there's no roof on this car, so they're getting soaked. They have like umbrellas. But Disney storm. What's wrong with that, I guess?
Yeah.
Oh, it is a conservatory. You're right. Mr. and Mrs. Biddle return home, and the conservatory windows are left open. So the alligator ponds are frozen solid. Can you believe that? They are frozen. How long were these people gone for?
Yeah. So they were upset because Mr. Biddle thought that his alligators were frozen to death.
But like, did they open the door from like Monsters Inc. and like show up in the Arctic?
No,
because like
no, there was a snowstorm and everything was frozen, and the new maid, because they don't keep maids very long either because of their quirkiness. The new maid didn't like the smell from the alligators, so she opened up the windows in the conservatory to air it out, and then forgot to shut it, and all of the tubs froze solid.
So with the alligators in it.
Yes. So you have like frozen alligator popsicles, basically. And Mr. Biddle is asking the butler, go get me an axe. I'm going to cut them out. And I was just like, oh my God, this is really happening.
And I guess this is really true because this is like from someone's like real life story book. So how long are those windows open for? Whatever.
It doesn't take that long in the wintertime when it's cold and it's not heat. Anyway, so they had came home. They noticed there was a draft and that they figured it out, and alligators are frozen. He's going to attempt to cut them out. And then they realize Cordy's not home. And
she's late.
They call the police because they want to like find out where she's at. And then she comes strolling in.
Yeah. So the only thing that I want to add before that is that after he cuts the alligators out, he puts them near the fireplace. But he's very sad because that doesn't look good for the alligators.
Well, he was trying to chisel them out still. So
Yeah.
he put them beside the fireplace to help him.
Mm-hmm. They get a phone call that Cordy is missing and 3 hours past curfew. So like she didn't return to school. So they called the police, like you said. But then right on cue, she comes strolling into the house. Like she came to see them instead of going back to school. She also brings her fiance. This is the first time that they heard about their fiance. So like somehow they got engaged after talking about cars and kissing under the rainbow and stuff. But then she sends them away because she sends him away because her parents aren't ready to meet him yet. So basically,
Dad's not ready.
He dropped her off, and then she's like, "Okay, you can go," because my parents aren't ready to meet you yet. So now we know what's going on. The next morning, the new maid is scared because all the alligators have defrosted and they are all over the house. Tell me how you would take that.
Nope.
So they are all over the house. They are in every room. It is causing quite the commotion in the house. They're like finding these alligators all over the place and they're all excited. But this poor maid is like terrified. She probably didn't even know. So all this commotion, Mr. Biddle asks.
She had to have known.
That's why she opened the windows. Them. That's true.
Ugh. Karma.
Anyway. Mr. Biddle asks Cordy to invite her fiance to dinner to meet him. And then it cuts to John Lawless, who's like cleaning up the mess or whatever with towels or whatever. And he is talking directly to the camera. Like he is talking directly to us. Like he is breaking the fourth wall. And then he breaks back into fortuosity, which I spelled completely wrong in my notes.
Lord.
Oh yeah, because you know how to spell fortuosity.
No, I refuse to use it, but I'm dyslexic. So.
I don't think that even spell check knows how to spell that. So, George the alligator escapes again, but then John Butler has to like wrangle him in a slapstick way. George the alligator is a big alligator, so he has to like catch him on like a fish hook and like pull him in by like his like tail and stuff to throw him back in the water. And then, because remember we're watching a play, like this is like very theater driven. There's an intermission.
Yeah.
So play some music.
It's a pretty decent long intermission.
Get some popcorn.
We should have timed it. Did you time it?
No, I mean again, they had to cut parts out of this because of how long it was, and there's an intermission. But whatever. So then it cuts to dinner, and the fiance, whose name is Angie or whatever. I refer to him as Mr. Duke throughout this whole entire from now on out. He is coming. What's that?
You can call him Duke. Well,
yeah. All right. So Duke, he is coming over for dinner. The two sides do not see eye to eye on their meet and greet. Duke is also nervous about all the alligators, and he admits that he admits to Cordy that her father kind of scares him.
Yeah.
That's quite the first time meeting the parents. So, Cordy's like, well, you gotta stand up to my father. You gotta stand up to him. You gotta fight him. You gotta play tough with him. So he decides to stand up to Mr. Biddle, and he talks to him about boxing and about how boxing is not real, and about how this whole thing about boxing. So then he and John the butler are going to show like bring him to the boxing parlor. But then Duke's like, well, I want to box. Like I can box you. I know what I'm talking about. So then they demonstrate boxing on each other. but then Duke gets knocked down by Mr. Biddle because again he beats up Marines. So, but then out of nowhere, he takes down Mr. Biddle using jujitsu. Right, he just like busts out this jujitsu move and he takes him down. He talks about how he's like a world-class jujitsuer. Mr. Biddle wants him to teach the Philadelphia men his jujitsu skills. Like he finally broke down the wall, and now they are connecting on a level.
Oh yeah.
What's wrong with that? But at this point, Cordy and Duke are going to drive to New York to meet Duke's ritzy family.
Terrible mother.
But the minute they get there, they meet these people who define the word bougie. Like, this lady is next level. You thought the aunt from earlier was next level. This lady is next level. But then they instantly they get thrown into planning this fancy engagement party.
Yeah, she had like a Scarlett O'Hara Southern accent, and I hated her.
Yeah, so like I think that the reason, well, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but good pause. I think that like the reason Disney got the rights to this is because of the success of like movies like Mary Poppins, My Fair Lady. And I feel like that's kind of like what this lady was. Like My Fair Lady, like really ritzy, like you said, Scarlett O'Hara type.
Well, I was talking about her accent. Was a Scarlett O'Hara Southern accent.
Whatever. So they are planning this fancy party because like they have to, it's all for looks, it's all for show, and they're high class. So, but then Mr. Biddle shows up to visit the Dukes. Like they've been there a little while. It doesn't say how long they've been there, but it's been like a bunch of parties and a bunch of right.
Yeah.
Mr. Biddle shows up because he is in New York recruiting retreats. So then the parents end up discussing. It's very awkward. They talk about how they don't like the couple being a couple. And then Cordy breaks down and tells her father that these people are not like them. And he sings a song to her about a man and his daughter, about when a man has his daughter and stuff like that. But so basically that just shows that the people aren't like each other. These people are fancy. These people are boxing Bible people, and they just don't see eye to eye. But then the fancy party moves to Philadelphia. Like the engagement party now moves to Philadelphia.
That's where they're going to get married.
Yep. Mrs. Duke is not happy to be there. Not at all. She's too fancy for this. She likes New York over Philadelphia. Mr. Biddle, he starts singing some opera. He just knows how to sing opera. Like he just starts singing opera in front of all his boxing friends. Mrs. Duke makes some very rude comments about Cordy, causing Cordy to run away into the house emotional.
She doesn't really make the comments about Cordy. She makes awkward comments about her dad singing, and Cordy takes offense to it and calls her out on it and then runs away.
Yeah, so she runs away. Her fiance, Duke, he finds her and she tells him that she's afraid, but he says that, all is well, and they embrace, basically. I did not write. Whatever I wrote there was not English, so that's the gist of it. But we also learned that is 3 days before their wedding. And then at the exact same time as this, the rude mother interrupts their romantic moment. And she's like, all right, I'm going to keep everything peaceful during this. But at some point around here, we learn that like his whole side of the family didn't get invited. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, he was going to ask later, but apparently nobody on his side of the family got invitations, and his mom brings it up.
She's very upset about it.
That's when the dad is like, no, like the butler and I took them to the post office together and dropped them off. So I know they got delivered. And then it turns out they didn't.
Yeah.
They found a whole box, and it was nothing but
their side of the families.
Yeah. And then she's making a big stink at it, and she's like, well, what would you do? And then Aunt Mary, thank God, is there and puts her in her place. And she said, well, I mean, if our invitations didn't go out, it wouldn't matter because our family would come because, well, they're family.
Yeah. Yeah, Aunt Mary and Mrs. Duke sing a song about like social standing and stuff like that, and then they get in an argument. So,
and Aunt Mary multiple times puts
Mrs.
Mrs. Duke in her place.
Yeah, because she's a snooty snood.
Yeah.
But
she will not out snoot Aunt Mary.
No. They definitely have like a bougie off there. So
is that a thing? A bougie?
I don't even know. I don't even know how to spell the word bougie. I just whatever. So
oh boy.
Two families, super tense. Nobody likes each other, and the invitations never got sent out to the wedding.
For his side of the family, they did for her side.
Cordy, then yeah.
Can you imagine how many people they're going to have come? Because it was 200 invitations on his side that didn't go.
Yeah. So like just his side didn't get sent out, and Mr. Biddle's like, no, I definitely sent them out. He goes to find them. Cordy bursts in to yell at all the families and make everybody stop overdoing their wedding. But then when she does that, fiance Duke takes his mother's side. And in taking his mother's side, he says that he is no longer going to Detroit. He's going to stay and take over the family business because he's clearly a mama's boy, which again is fine. I have a mama's boy tattoo. Never judge me. I don't care. But but so he lied to his fiance, and he's going to take over the family business. So this obviously upsets Cordy. So she gets upset. She calls off the wedding and she storms off. Like this dude lied to her. We were going to go to Detroit. We were going to work on cars. Whatever. Right? We're all up to date. Cool. In the meantime, then the butler he finds all the unsent invitations, causing Duke to also storm out of the house. So then they're like, all right, Mr. Lawless, the guy who I thought was going to be the happiest millionaire, you have to go find this dude at the bar, but go find him. He finds him at the bar. Duke is very tired of people running his life for him, even though he lets his mom run his life, and he's whatever. It's a whole other thing. And then he sings a song about having a drink on it. This is probably the funnest scene of the entire film. Sings a song about having a drink on it. No shilly-shally, no dilly-dallying. Let's have a drink on it now.
Time out. The only thing I didn't mention in my notes thus far is the dress that his mom wore to the engagement party was the most hideous dress I had ever seen in my entire life. So, for her to be super snooty.
For things that were not hideous, they sing this awesome song about having a drink on it. No shilly-shallying, no dilly-dallying. Let's have a drink on it now. And again, if this whole film was like this, so this would be an all-timer for me. I love this scene. This was great. This was the best scene of the film. It's like this chaos at the bar.
I feel like everyone's the only good parts of the movie were honestly the part that had John the butler in it.
The musical parts, yeah.
And he definitely was my favorite character.
Like the beginning in this one. When you try, whatever. So, Duke is trying to leave. John is trying to keep him. So he keeps trying to tell him to have a drink. And, they're all, busting into song. And, they're, messing with people around the bar. And they're, flipping off of the bar. And they're just, like this whole number. Kind of picture it being, the scene with all, the chimney sweeps from Mary Poppins. Just, less awesome. But, so then Duke's like, when you try to please everybody, or John tells Duke that when you try to please everybody, you end up not pleasing anyone. Duke says that he's going to join the Foreign Legion and he's going to move. He's going to move to either there or he's going to move to a farm and he's going to denounce his name and he's just going to, you know what, forget it. I'm going to go to China and I'm going to find pearls. So he's leaving.
Yep.
But then
he'll make his own money.
But then he ends up getting into a bar fight. And a bunch more hijinks pursue in this bar fight. It's very just.
Yeah, you see him pull out his jujitsu move.
Yep. What's wrong with that? The cops end up breaking in to break up the melee. John turns in the Duke to the cops because he doesn't want him to leave. So he gets the cop, gets this Angie Duke guy arrested. And then it cuts to the next morning. Mr. and Mrs. Biddle are arguing about all the recent events. Mrs. Biddle's like, you're not being a good father to your daughter, whatever. Cordy comes down. She's all dressed up. Not just, but she's wearing like her Biddle Boxing Club shirt. She's full of energy, much to the parents' shock. But once they mention the marriage, she runs off again. Yeah. She talks about how much of a mama's boy the Duke was, but Mr. Biddle then says that he supports their marriage no matter what. But he wants her to stay, but he supports the marriage no matter what, and he will back her 100%, which then gets her to, realize.
Yeah. So, word of advice: if you're going to marry a mama's boy, make sure you like the mama.
Hey,
I got lucky.
Yeah.
But make sure you like the mama. Otherwise, your life's going to be miserable.
Whatever.
Could you imagine having her as your mother-in-law?
No.
Anyway.
No. I mean, to be fair, I'm the guy in the situation, so it would be my mother. My father-in-law would be Mr. Biddle, the boxing Bible dude. And my mother, speaking of my awesome mother, has seen this movie. Remember, we talked about it.
She saw the whole thing?
I don't know. She was talking to me about it. She loves Disney. Okay, whatever. I'm going to lose her.
I didn't know she'd seen it. Okay.
I don't even know where I am. But either way, Mrs. Duke, the snood, she rushes in to say that her son has disappeared. But then John comes down with a black eye saying that Duke is in the jailhouse. So whatever. They're all going to the jailhouse.
Because he punched him.
Yeah. They're all going to the jailhouse. They are dressed way too fancy to be there. Mr. Biddle goes in, like everybody else stays in like the waiting room. Mr. Biddle goes in and he visits a very hungover Duke in his jail cell. Like he
doesn't want to talk. He doesn't want to stand up.
Like this, like let's have a drink on it now song has been
no dilly dallying,
no shilly shallying, but like have a drink on it now has resulted in a hangover then because this dude is hungover. Mr. Biddle gives a very powerful speech about responsibilities and has to go over, all his dreams. And basically he says, you know what? Yes, you have to join the family business. You have to join the family business. You have to do what your mother says. And the Duke angrily is like, no one's going to tell me how to run my life. And he storms out. So this was Mr. Biddle's plan all along. He just knew that if he went against it, this would make him decide to do it. Which worked. And if you're confused, so were we. We're almost at the end. Remember, this one was 3 hours long. So he storms out and he's like, I'm going to ask Cordy to elope, and no one can stop him. Mr. Biddle smiles, but the Duke walks right. The Duke walks right past his mother. He's like, I'm going to Cordy. Cordy, that's my girl. But Cordy thinks that the father talked him into this.
Which he technically did.
But he Duke just forget this, just picks her up, puts her over his shoulder, and just storms out to show her that he's serious.
Didn't whack her head into the side of the wall when he was walking out, but
he picks her up, throws her over his shoulder, walks out, and starts singing a song about how they're going to Detroit. Forget everybody else. They're going to Detroit. They're going to work on cars.
Yep.
So we can actually thank Cordy for heat, roofs, music players in a car, I guess. All the cellmates cheer them on. Man, yeah, that happened. And then it returns to Mr. and Mrs. Biddle that they return to a quiet house. They discuss that they're going to do some traveling on their own now that all their children are gone, because the other two boys just disappeared from the beginning. And then we just broke, because this film's not wild enough already. They just sing a song about Christmas. So they sing a song about it won't be long till Christmas.
Yeah. Was this a Christmas movie, Jeff?
No.
Why not?
Because they're just singing a song about how it won't be long until Christmas.
Yeah, but they were getting ready for Christmas. So how's it not a Christmas movie?
But it's just a random. But then, if you think it's been random so far, we think we're at the end. Then the doorbell rings. What's wrong with that?
Oh boy.
The doorbell rings, and it's the U.S. Marines are at the door.
Mm-hmm.
and they are there to award provisional captain, the Marines provisional captain. I say that I can't pronounce that for some reason, to Mr. Biddle, and that he is to report to Paris Island to train the recruits. So he gets what he wants. And then John starts singing "Let's Have a Drink on It" now. Remember, he's not the guy who was the Happiest Millionaire. I was wrong. Then the doorbell rings again, and the whole boxing class arrives to congratulate him. For some reason, they just like, no, I don't know, whatever. The whole boxing class arrives to congratulate him, and they all have a drink on it. Mm-hmm. No shilly-shallying, no dilly-dallying. Let's have a drink on it now. And then the house turns into a storybook, and that's the end. I'm going to let you have a rant about this. Let's have a drink on it now. Yeah, there you go. Cheers.
We made it to the end.
3 hours. Now, I'm going to let you have a rant about this in a second, but I'm going to go first, right? All right, hear me out on this.
Okay.
I love musicals, and I love 3-hour-long movies. Mm-hmm. This was not it. Okay, back to you. Do you have any thoughts or ratings or list upon a star about The Happiest Millionaire, which was not the butler, by the way?
I know. Who do you think it actually ended up being then?
Mr. Biddle, I guess, because I read the synopsis.
I assumed it was Mr. Duke because he broke off from his family fortune and did his own thing.
But then, yes, he was a millionaire. I guess.
That's who I thought.
We'll wait for the non-existent.
But like sequel. In their real life, they didn't stay married. They had 2 children, but they didn't stay married. So
you don't want to say to that, right? What's wrong with that? Sorry, go back to you.
So I don't know. If you didn't stay married to that person, why would you write a whole book on it and then thus have it turned into a play? I don't know. Anyway, so it wasn't really like a happily ever after, because it wasn't happily ever after in real life. But
well, we're not there yet.
It was not something I see myself watching again.
It's long.
Very, very long.
It's on Disney Plus if you want to watch it, though.
It did not need to be that long, but
for people that are being completionists with us, you can watch it.
Yes, good luck.
On Disney Plus. It's long.
We'll go attend the Bible boxing meeting to pray for you when you have to watch it. Anyway, so IMDb gave it a 6.5 out of 10, and I thought that was generously high, but maybe other people like it. I don't know. I gave it a 5. So it wasn't terrible, but I wouldn't.
I always read the.
Had it not had ties to Duke University, I probably would have rated it below.
I always read
generous.
the comments on IMDb, and there was some very positive comments about this film too by people that watched it. It's oh, this is my childhood. But I imagine if you grew up watching it, the songs would be, I guess, known to you and stuff, and
But and it wasn't the songs were bad,
and they weren't. No, the songs were the best.
But it wasn't.
Songs were the best part
for a musical. I felt like there wasn't enough music to it.
Yeah. I mean, guess. I clearly like I said, I like Mary Poppins a lot. There's other musicals coming up that I'm really excited for. I'm not going to spoil what it is. That those are the movies I grew up watching at my grandmother's house. So those are more nostalgic for me. We didn't watch this 3-hour-long film growing up. But so you got it a 5. So does this?
It does not box its way onto my list.
So then what is your list?
It did not stand a prayer.
What is your list upon a star?
My
the
list
Biddle Boxing Club.
Underground Fight Club.
Biddle Boxing Bible Club.
So my list upon a star is 101 Dalmatians, The Parent Trap, Sleeping Beauty, Dumbo, The Jungle Book, Lady and the Tramp, That Darn Cat, The Three Caballeros, Moon Pilot, and The Shaggy Dog.
It's true. And you know what I just realized after all this time? Speaking of being a mama's boy and my mother, who's wonderful, hi mom, that both of our top movies are what they are because that's the perfect film so far. But our second films are my mom's 2 favorite Disney movies, The Parent Trap and Mary Poppins. But either way, I just thought of that now when you were mentioning your thing. no shilly-shallying, no dilly-dallying. This does not make my Once Upon a Star now. So my Once Upon a Star is The 101 Dalmatians, if you didn't know that already. Mary Poppins, Mary Poppins, a much better musical. Peter Pan, a film with a much better alligator.
Mhm.
Alice in Wonderland, a much better trippy movie. Babes in Toyland, much better bougie people. Pinocchio, great film. Adventure Think About It, Mr. Toad, Cars, get that. That's good tie-in. Automobiles. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which is family meals. I don't know. Sleeping Beauty, which I would have loved to sleep through these 3 hours. And then lastly, The Jungle Book, which is comparable to the Biddle Bible Boxing Club. But either way, we made it through this film. And our next film, as KJ spills her drink everywhere over here.
Yes. Sorry.
Out of excitement to be done with this.
Yes.
Our next film, we are moving to the year 1968. We are moving up a year from February of 1968. It is deep dive number 88. It is called Blackbeard's Ghost. Again, thank you for hanging out with us. We are on Spotify. We're on YouTube, where you could just watch KJ spill her drink. Our email is deepdiveinthemagicpod@gmail.com if you want to let us know how much you actually loved this film and what we missed about what we missed on it. And if you want to like, subscribe, or comment below, we would love to hear what your top 10 lists are. Thanks for hanging out with us through 87 films. It's awesome. And we have no end in sight. We're excited. Like I said, the next one we're moving up to 1968 for Blackbeard's Ghost. But we'll see you then.
Thanks for deep diving the magic.
Bye.
Bye.